Hi, and welcome back to the T on Realty. I'm your host, Rachel Jackson, a broker associate with Exit Real Estate Gallery. I just want to welcome you back to another episode of the T on Realty. So, today's topic, I'm going to be talking about what's going on right now, and it's just not in Northeast Florida, but I think it's everywhere in a lot of different states and counties as far as what's going on with bidding in the market now. Right now, we're still kind of, or we're still using the phrase that we're in a seller's market. And that is absolutely true. And with the situation, things that have gone on lately with COVID and there not being as many homes on the market going on right now, I mean, sellers are getting enormous amounts for their home that they wouldn't initially qualify for, not qualify for, but would initially have gotten for their home at regular list price. Buyers are actually coming out of pocket paying more for these homes that are going over list price. Buyers are writing offers. We're writing offers for our buyers where they're going well over list price. We have all these escalatory incentives in there. I've even seen some offers written where they're taking away the inspection contingency, making it look good for the sellers to take their offers because there's so many offers being put in for homes and there's not enough homes out here in our area to suffice for the amount of that buyers want, that our buyers are buying. Some people would say, "Oh, COVID." A lot of people not buying. They ask me all the time, "Oh, how's the market?" I'm like, people buying every day. People closing every day. I mean, even during COVID, everybody didn't lose their job during COVID. So things were still going on. Homes were still being bought. They're still being bought right now. New construction, resales. It's just not enough. So, we're always out here asking customers if you're interested in downsizing and you want to sell, reach out to a realtor so we can get that house on the market. And you probably can get more than what it's listed for. Sometimes we have come into the market right now where we is listed at a price. It could be listed at 475,000. The highest and best bidder bid, they might have bid 490,000. So they typically went over 15,000. I mean, that's just minimum. And people going over 20 and 30,000, which to me is ridiculous. But what's happening is when the home, if they're getting financed, when the home is being appraised, the appraisers, they know what's going on in the market right now. They know that homes are being overpriced right now. But whether they want to or not, if there are so many homes in an area that have sold at a certain range and this new offer came in that range in the last 6 to 8 months, technically they should go by what was sold. Even if their personal opinion feels like they shouldn't, they should. But there are some appraisers out here that are like, hey, I know that all these homes that's been sold is being jacked up to the highest bidders, and any regular market, that house would have never sold for that. And some appraisers are doing just that. They're not overpricing the home. They're like, no, this home is worth this. Because from speaking to a few that I've known or know that are doing this, their logic for this and their reasoning for explanation on this is they're not using the last 6 months of homes like they really should. At most, an appraiser should go back, if they have to, go back a year. In most cases, they go back 6 months. What's been sold in 6 months. And in the past, that's how it was. And if there wasn't a lot that was sold within a mile or two radius of the home within the last 6 months, then they would go back further than 6 months. They would go back up to a year to see what was sold in that area. But now it's so much being sold within the area, but it's being priced so highly and being overpriced. Now, I would say whatever you feel your home is worth is what your home is worth. Everyone, I feel my home is worth more than the market says it is. That's just everyone's opinion. I mean, if you don't think your home is worth crap, then that's just you. So I can't downplay anyone saying that they feel like their home is worth more than even what they listed it at. The goal has always been, now and in the past, to get you the highest and best for your home. And that's the same when I'm working with a buyer. I want to give them the best deal for their home they're purchasing. Do I want them to pay overpriced for a home? Absolutely not. I don't want them to do that. And like I was saying with the appraisers, some of them are doing just like that. They're not going to appraise a house $30,000 over, even though there are homes in the last 6 to 8 months that are sold for $25,000, $30,000 over what it was listed as. And they see it, the market shows it, but they're not willing to go with that. They're listing it as is. That's what it should be. And a lot of sellers are upset because now the buyer could potentially say, well, I know I went over what you asked me for, but the price is based upon the contingency of the appraisal. If it appraised for this $25,000 over that I offered, okay, cool. But if it doesn't, the potential buyer could back out, say, I don't want to pay that. I don't want to pay that if it don't appraise for that. And the seller is like, they don't want to go down on what you locked in on. It's not a win-win for anybody, because I always tell a person, if you're on the buyer side, are you willing to pay that extra $20,000 out of your own pocket if it doesn't appraise? That's the question. That has always been the question. I don't care if you go over $2,000 over list price or just $5,000 over list price. Are you willing to pay that extra $5, $3, $2, $100, $1,000 over? Are you willing to do it if the appraisal does not account for it? And that's a question that you, the buyer, have to think about. You want to get this house, yes, but are you willing to pay? Do you already have, most people are using down payment assistance program to assist them with purchasing a home, meaning they might not have that money to close. So if you know that you are in a situation where you need assistance from down payment, if you need it. Now, everybody doesn't need it, but they get it because it's available. But if you actually need it, meaning every dime to the penny counts for you, you can't go on going over a list price, offering over a list price, and expecting that the appraiser is going to go for it. Because there are just some, excuse me, there are some bullheaded people out here that they're not going with the times. They're like, no, that house is not worth $490,000. It's worth $475-ish. I might give you $480. And that's how they're going to do. And the lender's going to look at you. Hey, Mr. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, appraisal came back. It was not worth it. And the seller's agent could come to the appraiser, because we do. We come with our comps. Oh, this house been sold, this price. And see, the appraisers, the good ones, they do their research. They look and see what a home was listed at. They could see that home was listed at $475, and here it is on the contract for $490. They can see that. Appraisers see that, and they're like, okay, if you listed it at $475, that's where you thought this house valued at. And then they look at all the other houses within the last 6 months to a year, within a mile radius, if there is any, and they look at when that house was listed at, what it was sold at. It even now has inside of MLS at times it'll show what the seller's concession was to a buyer. I mean, like, they have access to things to show and to counter or, back up their reasoning for their pricing. So I'm saying this and talking about this because working both sides of a transaction as a listing agent and as a buyer's agent, I don't want anybody to get screwed, because the first question that people ask, buyers ask, and people ask in general, especially buyers, is, oh, I paid over $20,000 extra over for what the price was listed as. What's going to happen in a year if everything kind of like tanks or whatever? I'm going to say, listen, buyers and sellers and realtors control the market to a certain extent. And what I mean by that is based upon what's sold and bought, that determines what the market is. So if a year from now, ain't nothing being sold in your area for this price in a year, and now people might be starting to underbid because maybe there's a whole bunch of houses that came on the market now, and now it might have flipped into a buyer's market, which I don't think it's going to be going to a buyer's market anytime soon. But if it did happen, we as realtors can't predict that, because I'm not a builder, and I can only build what the city will allow me to build if I was a builder. Yes, I would love to build you 400 more houses if I was a builder, but it just don't work that way. They got permits and city codes, all these things they got to flow by. So when people ask me, is it best for me? No, I don't think it's best that you go over if you really want it, but take the risk, know the risk. That's why I'm giving you the T on, if you take that risk and you go over list price, that maybe down the road it might flip on you and it might not be worth that when it's time for you to want to resell that house. Oh man, I paid and now it ain't worth that. That's a chance you take even in a regular market when it's not going $20,000 and $30,000 over list price. You take the chance of losing if nothing in that area is being sold, and if all those things come into play, people underbidding, a lot of investors underbidding, investment properties and rentals are coming out, not much being sold. You always take that risk of losing out on what you paid, especially if you came into buying a home and you didn't have very much equity in it to begin with. I mean, name of the game is equity, man. So, I mean, if you could put as much down as you can on your home, that way you can get it under a price as far as maxing out the price. The goal has always been in real estate is trying to get you to get a home for good market value, but maybe a little less than market value. That way you can have that little bit of good equity in the neighborhood, in the market for the home you bought. So you can feel comfortable like, hey, I got this $475,000 house, but I got a good deal because I got it for $465,000. I got it for $10,000 less. It just depends. That's always the best way to go in, where you bought a home less than what the market says it's worth. And then on top of what you put down as a down payment to help out with that, that's even better. I would never encourage anybody to not put a down payment if you can, because it just benefits you in the long run. But just be mindful of what's going on in the market. Is just homes are being sold with all kind of contingencies. I would never advise anyone to waive an inspection period, but it's going on. They're putting offers out here and they're saying they don't want an inspection period, and I'm like, wow. I mean, like, I push for inspections all the time. Like, all the time. There's not a time that I would tell somebody, oh, you only know inspection. Even on new construction, inspections are warranted because builders make mistakes too. And of course, they're going to advocate and they're going to say that their stuff is, oh, it's because it's brand new. But right now, there's offers coming in $20,000, $35,000 over the list price. They're telling the sellers, You don't even have no inspection period. They're offering up non-refundable portion of their earnest deposit if you accept that offer. Usually that will go toward your purchase of your home later. But now they're offering and saying, hey, you can keep half of it now if you just accept my offer. Those are all things that can happen because in a sale, things are negotiable. Some things people feel like they might be in a position or they might be a little desperate, and so that's why they're doing what they're doing. But I'm a very patient person. I would just sit back and I'm just gonna wait. I'm trying to get the best deal that I can. I'm not trying to pay a tremendous price for a home when I know that in a regular time it wouldn't be worth that. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous what's going on right now. But if the person, if like I said, if my customer really wants it, I always stress to them, if the appraiser doesn't appraise his home over this list price, do you have the funds to pay this extra $15,000 out of your pocket? Whether you have to go into a 401k to get it, however you're going to get it, discuss it with your lender, how you're going to get it, how you're going to pay it if it doesn't come back right. And when it doesn't come back right, I don't want to hear this. What I will do is I will ask the seller, hey, the appraisal came back less than this. Do they want to go down? And that's what I'm saying. No, I say, okay, listen, you're gonna run into this with other people at the same time. You're still gonna run into this. You could be a bullhead. You could be like, you're still looking. No, they want. Okay, but when the next person comes, you better take cash off, because if that person appraiser, that appraiser probably gonna do the same thing. You're gonna keep running into everybody saying. But that's why you coach as an agent. You coach your customers before they get in this situation. Like, listen, if it comes out that the appraisal doesn't appraise, one, are you willing to pay the extra? Two, I'm going to ask the seller's agent to go down on the price, because that's what I'm going to do. But if they don't, then you have it's back on you. It's back on you. What you going to do as a buyer? Are you going to come out of the pocket, or you were just holding and crossing your fingers, wasting everybody's time because you knew, one, you didn't have the money saved to pay an extra $15K out of your pocket. You wasted my time. You wasted the seller's time. You wasted the seller's agent's time. You wasted the bank's time. You wasted the appraiser's time. Why? Because guess what? You paying for that appraisal. So if you knew you didn't have it, you knew that you wasn't going to pay it if it came back down low and they didn't want to go down low, then why did you even spend the $300-$400 to have that appraisal done when you could have just moved on to another house? Or put in an offer close to list price and you might have just got it. Just because people around you might be intimidating you to thinking that, oh, just because everybody else is doing something, you have to do it. Because it's like this thing, and it's like this all the time. You'll have a house that's been on the market for a while, and as soon as you want it, oh, it's multiple offers. Like, this been sitting on the market for like 60 days. I ain't seen nothing in the thing that said it was on the contract one time. Now my customer got their eye on it. Now you got 4 multiple offers going on it. Sometimes, I ain't gonna be real, I feel like agents lie. Like, they don't have multiple offers on it. They just be lying, trying to make it sound like it's a hot commodity. Because sometimes I watch properties. When they say that, I be like, okay, never mind. My customer don't want to get into a bidding war. And I'll watch it for like a week or two. And guess what? It goes nowhere. So you mean tell me you was on all this huffing and puffing about how it's invest, and in 2 weeks' time, you still not on the contract? Because you probably lied. You didn't have no other offers. You just was being like trying to rush somebody into something. Trying to get that price elevated that you want this one person offer that you're getting to put in for it. People are nasty like that. Agents are nasty like that. So I'm keeping it real. It's T on Real Estate. I'm not like that. I'm not. If I don't have multiple offers, I'm not gonna tell you that. And if I do, I do. But if I don't, I'm not gonna lie to try to get you to go way above. Especially, I'm just not gonna do that, because I don't want the embarrassment of an appraiser coming back that I know ain't gonna suffice. It's embarrassing for the seller's agent when they know that they done did all their due diligence with pricing and doing a CMA on a listing, when We've done what we needed to do and priced that home just right. And then you know it's priced just right. And then for you to accept something way above when you know it's priced just right. And then if you don't get that one appraiser that's willing to go for the bluff and the fluff, and they do it the right way, you're going to look stupid. You're going to be like, why you priced that house way over list value? You know it wasn't worth no $490. It was only worth $475. But you took a chance. You know, it doesn't make you look good with your sellers. Because they be like, what? And because, you know, they be like, oh, you didn't know no better. Or you knew better. Hold on. Because we do work for the customer. We advise the customer. But at the end of the day, it's the customer's decision. We can advise the customer, hey, it's only worth $475. We pushing it at $480. You know, I don't think we should take that chance and go as far as $490. Even if something else in the neighborhood recently sold for $485 or $487, I just think we need to stick where we are. And if the seller's like, no, I'm going for that $490. That's the same when we listening. We give them the CMAs, we tell them what it's worth, tell them what the market's showing. We show them this, not just tell them. We show them with data and paper. We put it on paper, we send it to them so they can review it. We go over with them. We sit over in the listing agent appointment with them and go over the area with them. And then some of them will still want you to list it $30,000 over. And still want to try to get people to go over that 30. I would not take a listing like that. You're not going to put that pressure on me. You're not going to embarrass me like that. So just be mindful that what's going on right now might not be going on a year from now or 2 years from now. But what's going on right now is people are bidding $20,000 and $30,000 over list price because they're getting desperate. And then you got, you know, even sellers are coming back saying they want buyers to pay their closing costs. What? Because they feel that, you know, they're taking advantage of these buyers. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy on both sides. Buyers are, you know, asking agents to pay their commission, you know, give them their commission. That's not we do a lot to get you guys what you want. And I just feel like I don't want to devalue what I do, my expertise. You know, I have given some of my commission to help a customer close a transaction, but it wasn't because they asked me. It was because they had done so much throughout this transaction that they were in that it was warranted. It was like $1,000. I got, Linda, how can I do it? Can I get a concession to the buyer, Linda? Let's close this transaction. You know what I'm saying? I would do that, but I'm not the type of agent where I'm like, you're not going to make me feel like I got to do, or I got to give you a portion of my commission because you don't have what you're supposed to have. No, you're supposed to have what you're supposed to have. And that's just how it is. So that was the episode for today. It was just mainly talking about just getting the best value for the house that you buy and for the house that you might sell, because you might be on the seller's end of this transaction right now as a seller getting way over list price. But guess what? That's what I'm telling you. You want to buy something else out here in these streets because you're either downsizing or you're upgrading, and now you're gonna be like, I don't want to pay that. Okay, but you just did it to somebody else. Let's be real. You know what I'm saying? If you can't take it, don't dish it. That's all I'm saying. So thank you guys for tuning in to the T on Realty. If you have any questions or any topics that you'd like me to talk about, as always, hit me up, info@thetionrealty.org. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, here on YouTube. You know, I appreciate everything, all the resources and all the support that I've been having thus far. Continue with that. If you want to donate, we do have Cash App and PayPal and cash or not cash. I mean, cashier's check or money order for our nonprofit, the T on Realty Incorporated. So I just wanted to hit you up with another video talking about what's going on in the market so you know what to expect. So if you're looking to buy, you know, you might consider going over, but make sure before you decide to go over, the girl told you, are you willing to pay out of pocket to go over? If that appraisal don't come back right, because you ain't going to come back to me, Rachel, girl, I went over, now my house ain't worth it. I told you your house might not be worth it 2 years from now. It might not be worth it 6 months from now. But that's a decision that only you as a customer can make. That's how it is. So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in, watching the T on Realty. Make sure you listen to me on Podbean, iHeartRadio, wherever you at. That's where I'm at. So you don't have no reason not to listen. So thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.